Mornings with Cinephites. I am one of your hosts, Alex McAlister, and with me, as always, is the lovely Cain Dennis. Cain, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be here, as always. It's always a ton of fun, and I'm ready to talk about some weirder than usual movies here today.
Very weird movies. I feel like it'll be kind of like our David Lynch episode, where we're just like, we just use the word weird a lot, but oh well. So, yeah, it's been a while since we've recorded an episode. How have you been since then? What have you been up to? What have you been watching?
I've been good. Since then, I've been watching, I believe Falcon Winter Soldier ended since we did our last episode.
Yeah.
That was cool. I liked it. Not as much as WandaVision, and not as much as I'm liking Loki, but Loki premiered last week.
Yeah.
I think the first two episodes have been awesome. I don't want to say too much or give anything away.
Yeah,
but
I've been loving them as well. I did not like Falcon and Winter Soldier pretty much at all. WandaVision was cool. I went and saw last podcast on the left live a few days ago, and they made a couple WandaVision jokes. They just said it's very tedious to watch, but I didn't feel that at all. Like, I thought it was pretty fun and easy going.
I don't get that at all. I thought it was really cool. It kept stringing me along. I kept looking forward to it every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I always made it and binged it.
You binged it? That's nice. Yeah. I kind of like the weekly model for it because it is such a... It's like based on TV, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the earlier episodes. It changes as you get to the end. But with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it definitely was a bit more of a slog. Like, it felt... Even though it was less episodes, it felt longer.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing about it was the John Walker character. I didn't really get much out of the Flag Smashers. I thought they were pretty lame.
Same. Yeah, I'm a big Wyatt Russell fan, so I was pretty pumped that he was in it. Yeah, I guess if they do more with him, like, I'd be so down, but I definitely wish they would have done less of Falcon and more of the Winter Soldier, because, like, his story, first episode, when, like, the small parts of him they had just drew me in immediately, and then there's very little of it the rest of the season or series.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt, too. I'm a bigger Winter Soldier fan than I am Falcon. I've always liked Falcon, but seeing him get his own spotlight was cool, because it kind of fleshed out the character more, but they kind of build it as this co-lead thing, when Winter Soldier was really more of a supporting role. He wasn't nearly as important.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask you about a movie I watched kind of recently. I finally watched Her by Spike Jonze.
Oh, man.
That is the movie that has been on my watch list the longest. It's been there for, like, ever since it came out, because I heard it was good and never watched it. I take it you've seen it?
I have. It took me the longest time to actually watch it, and then I caught it on Netflix, I want to say, like, last year at one point. I love it.
Yeah, same.
Joaquin Phoenix is so great in it. Yeah. I honestly think that Scarlett Johansson should have been nominated for Best Actress, even though she never appears on screen in the movie.
Yeah, she was great.
She was perfect in it.
Yeah, I can't, like, it would be so hard to just be in a movie, only your voice, and be, like, that pivotal of a character, and still get, like, everything across. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, I thought so too, because it's really more than voice acting in that context, because it is basically what the entire movie hinges on. And I think the thing that I like most about that movie is that when you really think about it, it's like a sci-fi movie. It's not... I mean, it is a drama, but, like, if somebody told you, okay, this is a true story that happens 40 years from now, like, with the advancement of technology and stuff, I think it could be believable, because it is, like, within reach.
Yeah.
Which is kind of terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, I can see that. I was kind of blown away in the movie how... I guess it's kind of like the movies we will talk about today, but how everyone else in the environment is just like, oh, yeah, that's cool, like... There's just all this technology going on, and I would find it unbelievable, but I guess it was set in a dystopian, not even dystopian, that's a weird word, future, I guess.
It kind of is a little dystopian, though. You got him, like, his job, like, writing the greeting cards for people, like, putting the words in people's mouths, basically. It's just, it shows you little looks into a world that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Without being like, look, we have flying cars, we have all this. It's like a realistic look into a, like, socially distant future, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Since Chris Pratt was in that movie, I do want to ask you, what's your opinion on Chris Pratt? Because I don't like him.
You don't like him? Really?
No, I did in Parks and Rec, and then I did with like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But then like as he kept going on as Star-Lord, I was like, this is kind of getting old. And then like the Jurassic Park movies, I don't care. Yeah, if I like, he is now to the point where if I see his name in something, I'm just like,
you just don't really care?
Yeah.
I've got to disagree with you. I like him.
Really?
I never watched Parks and Rec, though, so
Okay.
I kind of got to know him a little later than a lot of people did, because Guardians was the first thing I saw him in, and he really made a big impression on me there, so I've liked him ever since.
Gotcha.
Now, I don't think the Jurassic World movies are as good as most of the other things he's in, but I do enjoy those, and I do like him in them. Yeah,
I did like him in Her, because he played pretty much a different character than he normally does.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty cool.
I will say, I do get the criticism that he kind of plays the same character in everything.
Yeah.
He's like the scrappy, sarcastic, jokey guy who's like an action hero, so I would like to see him do more things that go against that type.
Yeah, same here. Or just don't have him in movies anymore and I'll be cool. No, I'm kidding. I don't hate him that much. And another thing I finally watched Death Proof by Quentin Tarantino. Is the only Tarantino movie I hadn't seen.
I've not seen that yet.
It was pretty good, I guess. I don't really have a opinion on it. Like, I'd watch it again. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's my least favorite Tarantino movie. But yeah, check it out if you get the chance. I think is free on, I think, Tubi.
Okay.
TV.
That's the one. It's one half of Grindhouse, right? Like there was him, and then there was a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah, I didn't watch the
Planet
Robert Rodriguez
Planet
part.
Something. What's it called?
You remember? Have no clue.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think Death Proof is the only Tarantino movie I haven't seen. I might be forgetting something else, but I think it's the only one I'm missing.
Yeah, I just saw it was like on there to watch, and as I said, it's about time I finally finished watching all of his movies. And I had watched Inglourious Bastards the night before.
Oh, that's so good. I love that movie.
It was. Yeah, the first, 3 scenes take up an hour of the movie or whatever, and all of them are just perfect.
And I went to the theater, and I saw Cruella, and I saw A Quiet Place 2.
I saw A Quiet Place 2. I did not see Cruella.
What'd you think of A Quiet Place?
It was alright.
Yeah.
I wasn't, blown away. I did like that they focused on, I guess, spoiler alert, I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I'm not going to say anything too bad, but they do focus on the daughter more, and I thought that was really cool. And then I'm a big, is it Cillian Murphy or Cillian Murphy?
I think it's Cillian, but I say Cillian sometimes too, because I forget.
Whatever it is, I love him, and he was great in it. So
he's good in everything.
I like that. Yeah. My only issue with it was very predictable because they use foreshadowing a lot. Someone would place a gun down on a table, and then it would show a close up insert of the gun on the table, and the person's walking away in the background, and then 5 minutes later, there's a monster and they needed that gun, but they can't get to it, and it's yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. Maybe don't specify that they put it down so much.
Yeah, I agree. They kind of give everything away in it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the first one, but I just didn't think it was great. I honestly think I had more fun with the second one.
Yeah.
Because I kind of knew what I was getting into, and I was like, this is just a fun horror movie type thing. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy it. So I did like it a lot. And Cruella took me by surprise, honestly. I liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Really?
I think it's one of the better recent live-action Disney movies, not counting Star Wars or Marvel.
Okay. If I know nothing of the character or the lore or anything, would you recommend it to me?
Yes. I think you'd probably like it more if you don't know about the character or the lore, because I've seen a lot of people who are sticklers for the original 101 Dalmatians, which I guess is a certain group of people who's out there. I wasn't aware of that. But I've seen a lot of people complaining that she's not enough like the character, but I didn't care. I just think Emma Stone is awesome in everything, so I really enjoyed it.
And we will get to that.
You're right.
Expand on that more. A real quick aside. This will be a weird tangent, but I do have a world record, and it does have to do with 101 Dalmatians. Are you interested?
Absolutely.
Okay, so me and my friends, this was like probably 8th grade, we figured out that there's a website where you could just submit videos and get world records, and ours was most ping pong volleys, I guess, between 3 people on one leg with very specific things in our mouths. So one was a 1942 wheat penny, one was a red reindeer stencil, and one was a 101 Dalmatians Game Boy Color game.
Oh my god.
So, if you have all 3 of those items, and each person puts them in their mouth, stands on one leg, and ping pong volleys and beats our record, then I would no longer have a world record. But I do, and that's why I'm awesome.
That's incredible. If you would have had me take 1,000 years to guess those 3 items, I could never have done it.
Yeah, I know. We just found the 3 most random things and went with it.
101
Record
Dalmatians Game Boy Color game. I've got some Game Boy Color games. I could set a different version of that record.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we only did, it was like probably like 10 or 15 volleys. It was real bad, but it didn't matter because we're like, no one will ever break it.
That's not the hard part. The hard part is finding those items.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just took us off in a tangent, but I was very excited about it. Yeah, anything else you've watched that you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think if there's much else of note. I mean, I'm always watching stuff, but there's nothing else that really pops up right now. That's the main things.
Did you watch Saint Maud?
I've not yet.
Oh.
I know that it was leaving Amazon Prime, but it's going to Paramount Plus, and my dad has Paramount Plus, so I didn't feel that urgent to catch it before it left, so I'm going to be watching that soon.
Gotcha. I really enjoyed it. It was not what I was expecting. Even like the twist or whatever also wasn't what I was expecting. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Nice. I did watch on HBO Max. I watched The King of Staten Island with Pete Davidson.
I haven't seen that.
I'm a big Pete Davidson fan. I've always really liked him on SNL. It's good. I don't know that I'd necessarily recommend it, but it's a comedy with Pete Davidson in it. I liked it. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad. Just something to watch.
I believe that the Not a Bomb guys actually brought that up on one of their recent episodes, and they'd watched it recently and did recommend it. So, I got multiple people telling me to watch it. I guess I'll have to.
Yeah, if you like his sense of humor and stuff, I'd recommend it, but it's not like something I watched and I was like, oh my god, I've got to tell everyone how great this is. It's just kind of one of those movies. I liked it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe one of these mornings I just need something to get me through to lunch. Might throw that on.
It's an easy watch, and it is funny, so.
Awesome. Well, cool. I don't have any other thing that I wanted to talk about. Anything else I've been watching? Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Or are you ready to move on to our topic?
I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So, if you guys listened last week to the end, then you know that we are doing this episode over Yorgos Lanthimos. I finally know how to say it and say it correctly each time. Do you have any background on him that you want to give? Because I just know him from watching these movies.
I pretty much just know him from watching these two. I didn't really ever know about him until I started hearing about him for the Oscars. In what year would that have been? Let's see, for The Favorite.
2018?
Yes, 2018. That year's Oscars, he was like all over the place, everywhere, because of The Favorite. And it had like the most nominations of any movie that year. So I was like, oh wow, I want to kind of familiarize myself with this guy, because I thought The Favorite looked awesome. And being in Evansville, Indiana, it wasn't showing anywhere around here. So I started watching some of his other things, and I just kind of fell in love with his work.
Nice. I knew him from... I blindly watched The Killing of a Sacred Deer for a family movie night. It was my pick because I'd heard it was good. It's probably about when The Favorite was coming out. My family was not happy at that pick. It was not very appropriate for family movie night. But after I saw that, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to watch the rest of his movies. And then I watched The Lobster and was also just like, yeah, I see what he's doing. And I guess I wasn't that impressed on first watch. But on second go around, I have been more impressed.
Nice, that's good. I gotta say, the first of his movies I watched was The Lobster, because it was on Netflix. Okay. And I thought it was extremely interesting. Definitely unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Mm-hmm. I pretty much loved it. And I just love the dryness. Everything is so dry.
It is.
And it's almost refreshing because you never see anything like that.
I personally don't find it refreshing. I do think we will disagree on stuff this episode, which I've been looking forward to.
Yes, it hasn't happened very often, so I'm looking forward to it too.
Yeah, it's... When you say dry but refreshing, that makes me think of gin, because gin is very dry, but I still think it's gross. But hey, what can you do? So... Yeah, do you want to go in? He did start out with My Best Friend in 2001. Have you seen or heard anything about that? I have not.
I've only seen it or heard of it from his Wikipedia page. I don't know anything else about it. I've not seen it available anywhere else.
Real quick, before we go into his movies, have you seen his... He has a video, it's on YouTube, of him in the Criterion Closet. Did you watch that?
I have seen that. He's with his wife or his fiance at that point, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I did not watch it. How were his picks? Do you remember?
Oh man, I've watched so many of those Criterion Closet videos that I don't remember. And I haven't watched it recently.
Yeah. Okay, cool. He's a much more normal looking and sounding guy than I was expecting from watching his movies. So I was just curious.
Yeah, he seems pretty well adjusted, which you wouldn't expect if you saw any of his work.
Yeah. I keep seeing, like, him on... Just looking at his name, he's on, like, a lot of YouTube channels. Like, he does interviews, does podcasts and stuff like that. So that is pretty cool to have a director doing that and have all that available to his fans.
Definitely. He's somebody that you would think they'd be a little bit, like, more mysterious. But I think he makes himself pretty accessible to people, which I think is cool.
Yeah. And I guess before we do go in depth into the movies that we did watch, could you give an overview of how would you describe his movies for someone who hasn't seen or heard of him?
I would honestly say that if you imagined a world... like nearly devoid of emotional expression or blatant humor, and pictured a bunch of different odd stories taking place in the same world, you could almost say that his movies are like a cinematic universe, because they all kind of have the same feeling. And it's interesting to watch, because without knowing much about Greek culture or Greek language, I think that we kind of miss a little bit. I think there's definitely context that people who just speak English aren't going to get, and that includes me, of course.
Yeah.
Because I think he's talking about a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I also, whenever I started watching Dogtooth, because that's the one that I watched that wasn't in English, I was curious how... I guess the political environment over there was.
Yeah.
And if, like, maybe there's something else there that influences it or something like that.
And when it comes to the language, I'm mainly talking about Dogtooth and Alps, because those are the two that are only in Greek. I think Canetta's just in Greek too, but I haven't had a chance to really watch that one yet, so.
Yeah. Studio Binder. Are you familiar with Studio Binder?
I'm not.
Okay, I thought you recommended them to me, but then I had, like, this weird thing. It's a YouTube channel. Incredible. I'm going to make you watch their videos. Any movie fan, check them out.
Studio Binder. I will go ahead and subscribe right now.
Yeah, they are incredible. They do have one that I definitely recommend that's more technical. And if you're into, I guess, cinematography, they have a, like, ultimate camera guide, and it's, like, 6 videos that go into... lenses, aspect ratios, all that stuff, and it's really cool. But then they also do like directors' playbooks and break them down, and they had a video on Yorgos Lanthimos. Not their best video, I will say that. But they described his movies. Do you want to hear their description?
Yes, I feel like that'll kind of inform our discussion. I think that's good.
So, it starts out, they kind of do like a short thing, ... and then like show clips, and then the rest of it. You'll catch on quickly. Awkward adults in surreal, sterile environments. Childlike characters dealing with loss and longing. Dark humor and absurd circumstances. Odd behavior and blindfolds. Behind the head angles and handheld tracking shots. Slow motion and heads cut out of frame. Sudden bursts of violence and ambiguous endings. That
describes everything.
Yeah,
that's like every movie he's made that I've seen anyway.
Each one of those that they would show, they would have like 3 examples of. And whenever they said blindfolds, I was like, my mind just broke. I was just like, there are a lot of blindfolds in these movies.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, it was weird.
And not always literal blindfolds.
Wow, that's deep.
The Lobster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. But I think they do have actual blindfolds at some point.
They do, yes. I'm just thinking of a certain event near the end.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, I just wanted to go over that. I watched that like right before we hopped on. Just thought it was a nice little overview to give everyone an insight.
I think that's perfect. I'm definitely going to watch that after we get done here today.
Yeah. Check out their other videos too. Like, normally, if there's like 20 or 30 minutes before I'm trying to go to bed, I'll throw on a Studio Binder video.
That's cool.
They're incredible.
I'm glad you brought them up. I see they've got like 15, 16-minute long videos. I love that kind of stuff. I love just putting that on and watching.
They have some that go even longer.
Nice.
You'll have to check them out. So, one more thing, just before we dive in. I just keep saying that. You did say you spoke on the lack of emotion, and when I've been watching these movies, it made me think of kind of the opposite of David Lynch. They're both super weird, but what David Lynch does is acting like everyone's emotions are dialed up to 10, and with Yorgos Lanthimos, it feels like it's dialed down to 1 or 0. Not in all situations, like people still get angry and stuff. But that's kind of what I felt, and I definitely prefer like more dialed up everything crazy, but I can see why people wouldn't and would prefer something like this. You like them both, it seems.
I like them both. They are both really cool. With David Lynch, they're both like unrealistic, kind of.
Yeah.
Because with David Lynch, it's like you've got people, like you said, just overboard with emotion. Mm-hmm. But in Yorgos Lanthimos, the childlike characters that you said from the Studio Binder video, that fits. Because people, they're like emotionally stunted, and when they do act out of emotion, it's usually violently. You can usually only see the emotion through violence in these movies.
There's so many times in his movies that it'll just be like 2 people talking, and then one will just be angry and just like slap the person.
Yeah. Or hit
it
them
happens
with
very often.
Or hit them with a VCR.
Yep, that happens as well. Or slash them with a knife.
Yep.
Yeah, like, they are definitely... I wonder what, in Yorgos's mind, what happened in the world to make everyone act that way. I think that would be kind of cool to hear. I don't know if he's talked about that at all. But, like, what politically, historically, or anything like that, what made everyone be this way? I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think one thing with all of his movies that kind of applies is that everyone is shown in a way that you don't see people for who they are. You see them for what they do. Because if you line people up and talk to them, they are all basically blanket the same. It's like, oh, you're a boring suburban person. You're a boring suburban person. You all feel the same way. You're all sad. But the only thing that sets them apart is their actions. And I think that he probably judges people by their actions more than anything, and puts that to work through the movies.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, let's just start going into the movies.
Let's do it.
So I mentioned My Best Friend was in 2001. We said Kaneda. We've brought that up. That came out in 2005. And then we'll move on. 2009, Dogtooth, which is what I watched. I did watch these in order that they came out in. Yeah, how do you feel about Dogtooth? I want to hear your opinions, and then I guess I'll shout mine.
Dogtooth is my absolute favorite of any of his movies.
Okay.
I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. It is so different than anything I'd ever seen up to that point. It blew my mind.
Okay. I think it's hard to watch.
Oh, it definitely is. It is the most, grueling... except for maybe Killing of a Sacred Deer. That one's pretty hard to watch, too.
It is. I think all of these are pretty hard to watch. I think The Lobster's pretty easy to watch.
It's more of a comedy. It's still got its moments, but it's more of a comedy.
Literally, they just have John C. Reilly sitting there, and it makes it funnier. It could be another actor saying the exact same thing, and it wouldn't be as funny.
Having him there changes everything. I love John C. Reilly. And I only found out he was in The Lobster right before I started watching it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And I
found out while watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogtooth is just so interesting. I think it's a study on people, it's a study on family, it's a study on sheltering and, keeping people away from the world. Mm-hmm. And it also makes a lot of really interesting points, I think, about film or just art in general and what it means to be deprived of it.
Okay.
Because
I like that.
Whenever the VHS tapes get introduced to these, to specifically the one daughter, and it's her first ever view of the outside world, it's like, wow, that really changes people.
Was it Jaws and Rocky?
Jaws, Rocky, and Flashdance.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny. Real quick, I do want to read out the description of the movie real quick. It's just one sentence. A controlling, manipulative father locks his 3 adult offspring in a state of perpetual childhood by keeping them prisoner within the sprawling family compound. So, yeah, I do think this is a interesting movie to watch after everyone has been locked in their houses for 12 months or whatever. I do think, I know obviously he couldn't have predicted that, but I do think it's a cool study to watch and be like, these people are raised in captivity. Obviously theirs is much crazier, the whole airplane thing, the doors open outside and they just don't walk out. I don't know if they think something scary is out there. I don't know. I just think it's really interesting to study these people locked in captivity and how that compares to what all of humanity just went through with COVID.
Yeah, and it just shows the power that you can have over someone if you can, especially a child, even as they get older, you can keep someone basically as a child forever if you teach them that the world is terrifying and they shouldn't go out there. And they even just twist normal things, they teach them a different vocabulary.
Yeah.
They don't tell them that words mean what they mean. They tell them that this word is something else.
Yeah. I can't remember the example specifically, but they're like, hey, can you pass me the something? And then someone passes them the salt. And it was, I don't know, it wasn't a cat. No. But it was something weird like that.
It was elbow or something. I think it was a body part, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, actually. It might have been elbow. Yeah, I don't know. And then whenever they do see a cat, a cat is in their compound, they're like, oh, it's the most dangerous animal ever, and stuff like that. And it was just a cat sitting there.
And they've been taught that they have another sibling, a brother who lives outside the wall. So they throw bread over the fence thinking he's there. It's wild.
And that is never explained as to why. I wonder if they had a brother that ran away and they were just like, oh, he lives outside of the fence now, or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, because to them, there would be no difference from saying he's 400 miles away or he's literally just outside the fence, because both are just as foreign and just as terrifying when you've never left.
And then they use the cat to be like, yeah, he killed your brother, don't worry about it.
Yeah, the dad, like, soaks himself in the fake blood. He's like, the cat killed your brother.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty wild. And also the, like, toy plane thing, because they see planes flying over their house, and they're just like, oh, is it gonna fall? And you're like, why would that plane fall? Like,
yeah, what
are they talking about? And then their dad or their mom or someone throws, like, a model airplane, and it crashes in the yard, and they think that's what they were seeing in the air.
Yeah.
Because that's the same scale. Like, they don't even understand scale and distance, which is really interesting. Man, now I kind of like the movie just talking about it. This sucks.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's about how you can control people's understanding, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I have one question about this movie. Did the two actors have sex? Because it definitely looked like they were having sex.
It looks like they did. I've not heard, but I don't know if they did or not. I looked
online, and a lot of people are just like, yeah, I mean, it looks like it, but no one has said.
I guess it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Very well could have.
Yeah. Wild. Okay. Are you good with Dogtooth? Do you have anything else that you want to speak on?
Yes, I do want to speak on the ending, so this is definitely spoilers, but the final shot of the movie is my favorite part.
Okay, I don't remember it.
The back of the car. The trunk.
Yes.
So, basically, these kids have it explained to them by the parents that they cannot leave their house until their dog tooth falls out, which is like their canine tooth, you know?
Yeah.
Which doesn't fall out. It's a permanent tooth.
Yep.
So, one of the sisters takes a dumbbell, busts her tooth out.
Oh god, that hard to watch.
That scene is insane. That's hard to watch, for sure. Because it just looks so real.
Mm-hmm.
But she runs off and she gets in the back of her dad's trunk in the car to try to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to keep in mind that the outside world has no like knowledge of these people even existing, and they don't really have any knowledge of the outside world. But the final shot of this movie is as the dad gets in the car to drive off to go try to find her. He ends up parking. I don't remember if it's at his work or where, but it just kind of shows a close-up shot on the back of the car. Where she's locked in the trunk. And any other movie would have shown you her getting out of the trunk. Yeah. Or trying to get out of the trunk.
Yeah.
But this movie doesn't. It just holds, and it holds, and it holds. Because, in my opinion, it did not matter whether or not she escaped. No one in the world has any clue that she even exists. So whether or not she escaped, it doesn't matter. So you don't get that answer.
I like that. My interpretation of it on first viewing, before I realized, like, oh, that's supposed to be ambiguous, like, as it was just still on the trunk, I was like, did she die? Because I was like, it's been a long... Because she escaped at night, and then it was, like, during the day, whenever he parks and gets out or whatever, and I was like, does she just, like, sit in there, can't get out, and then just, like, suffocates or starves and dies? And then it didn't show anything, and I was like, oh, it's supposed to be ambiguous.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. But did you think of that? Like, that she might be dead?
Oh, yeah. That's my whole point, really, is that, like, it doesn't matter if she escaped or if she's alive.
Yeah.
Because even if she did get to the outside world, what would she ever be able to do? She has no understanding of anything.
She would be so violent, too.
Yeah.
Like, she'd just have to be locked up.
Yeah, she would not be able to function in society.
Which is kind of interesting. Oh my gosh, because she's been locked up her whole life. The only way for her to proceed is to just keep being locked up, whether she's in the house or not.
Yeah, basically, whether or not she died in the trunk or was able to get out, the outcome's pretty much the same, because she's never going to be okay.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. You might be convincing me.
Good. Yeah, I love the movie, and I think the ambiguous ending is my favorite part. Because whenever I saw the ending, I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Any other movie would have been like, oh, she's safe, she ran off.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think Yorgos understands that even if she did get away, it's not a happy ending for her.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, if that's cool with you.
100%. Let's go.
Okay. 2011's Alps. I did not have the time to watch this one. Also, real quick, the reason why this took so long for this episode to culminate is because I was not excited at all to rewatch these movies. Whenever you first said it, I was just like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, I remember The Lobster and liking it. And then I sat down and every time I was like, oh, it's time to watch Dogtooth. I was like,
oh, man.
I would much rather watch Indiana Jones or, something like that.
Something fun that doesn't drain your soul.
Yeah, and then, like, I watched Dogtooth, and then I was like, well, on to the next one. And then I was like, I remember liking The Lobster, so I'm just going to watch that one. And then I had been excited for the favorite. So that's what took this so long, is I was just kind of dreading to watch these movies because I knew how they would make me feel, which I think is a powerful thing for someone to do. But I don't like it.
Yeah, they are very draining. They're not fun movies at all. Yeah. You can get a lot out of them, but they are not. They feel long, and they just drain you, kind of. Yeah,
they're a little boring. But yeah,
it's another episode of movies that I don't know that I would really recommend any of these.
Yeah.
If you're not already interested in strange things.
Yeah, I don't think I would recommend them to just anyone. Like, I would have to know someone's taste and interests before I would recommend any of these. Okay, sorry. Moving on. We'll go to Alps, like I said, from 2011. I didn't watch it. You did. Can you give us an overview?
I'll give a quick rundown on it. It's the one that I probably have the least amount to say about. Because it kind of feels like it doesn't really go much of anywhere, honestly. Like, there's interesting things that happen. But it's about this company. And they call themselves Alps. And their reasoning is that, like, the Alpine mountains, the Alps in France, like, those cannot be replaced. Like, those are what they are. And what this company does is they go and they impersonate deceased people for their significant others, for their families, for their friends, to try to help them come to terms with the fact that this person has died.
Okay.
And
it sounds interesting.
It's very interesting, but it's just so uncomfortable. It's so weird.
Okay.
And I don't really want to give anything else away, but if you like, it's more like Dogtooth than it is like The Lobster or Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Okay.
It's a very strange, weird movie. And I think, if I'm remembering right, it's the shortest of his movies. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah. An hour and 33 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very good, but it's not one of my favorites of his.
Mm-hmm. I assume it's still pretty much like that description I read. All the same. It's the same feeling, tone, everything as all the others.
Very much so, yes.
Okay.
Random outbursts of violence, awkward, strange people.
I don't plan on watching it, but I do see he has a movie that's supposed to come out in 2022.
Yep.
And I would probably watch that.
Poor Things.
Yes.
Am I wrong, or was it based on a book? This new one.
It does not have a clickable link.
Okay.
But it does not have him as a writer.
Okay.
So I just expect so.
Same as The Favorite then, because he didn't write The Favorite. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Alps. If you like Dogtooth, I would recommend it. If you don't like Dogtooth, I wouldn't tell you to spend any more time watching it, because it's very similar in feeling to Dogtooth.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll move on to 2015's The Lobster. This is his first film with our sweethearts at A24. I think that's probably why I watched these two first. I was just like, oh, these are A24 movies. They have to be good. But yeah, I'm gonna read I keep wanting to say the description for The Lobster real quick. In a dystopian near future, single people, according to the laws of the city, are taken to the hotel, where they are obliged to find a romantic partner in 45 days, or are transformed into beasts and sent off into the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. I think I believe he was nominated for Best Screenplay for this one.
I think you're right.
I don't have that pulled up at the moment. Yeah, nominated for 1 Oscar. So, for Best Original Screenplay. And yeah, this is the one that if anyone asks about him, like I believe my roommates are just like, hey, what's your next episode on? I'm like, oh, Yorgos Lanthimos. Like, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I use The Lobster as a description of what his movies are like. I'm like, it's like a dystopian future, and it's pretty much illegal to be single, and you have like a time where you try to meet someone or you get turned into an animal. And then everyone's just like, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Which it does.
It should, if you haven't seen anything by him, it should be the first one you watch, I think.
Yeah, I do too. Or
maybe. Yeah.
I think I think it's his most normal movie. Actually, I don't know. The Favorite is kind of normal. I don't think technically it's as technically normal. Like the lenses and stuff that they use in The Favorite are kind of wild.
Yeah.
But like I think The Lobster would be more normal because of that, and it's still very, very weird.
Yeah, it appears more normal, like the way it's filmed and edited and stuff.
Exactly. Thank you for wording that much better than I did. Yeah, I love how absurd it is, and that's kind of my only opinion on it. Like, it's absurd, it's darkly funny, but like I don't really care about any of the characters. I don't care what happens. Kind of the same with the next movie we'll talk about. Like,
yeah,
I don't care about many of the characters in his movies.
They're never likable.
Yeah.
You can never really root for any of these people in his movies.
I have a hard time trying to find out who's supposed to be the protagonist. Like in this, it's Colin Farrell, who's awesome.
He's great.
But it's hard to like root for him. He's awesome, but he still is like an asshole at a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion on The Lobster?
What I think about The Lobster is I really like the movie, but I think the most interesting thing about it is honestly just the world it takes place in.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to see more stories from this setting. Because, like, if they have a law about turning people into animals, if they can't find a mate in 45 days, what else is going on?
That's true.
You know?
Also, they definitely just murder the people and then find an animal, right?
I think so.
They're like... There's no way they actually turn them into the animal.
They have like the transformation room and everything, and you don't see into it. But I think you're right about that.
Yeah,
which is even more cynical than what the people think is happening.
Yeah, and it makes it the opening scene. I don't know if you remember it. It's a woman. She drives up. It's like farmland. You don't meet the character ever, I don't think.
Yeah,
she just drives up to this farmland, and there's like 2 ponies out there. She just gets out and like shoots a pony to death, and then leaves. And so you're just like, what's that about? And then it's like, oh, that lobster was the
pony.
That pony was probably someone that she knew in the past and hated, and then went to go kill them.
Yeah,
but she actually just murdered an innocent pony.
And I mean, at that point, you got to think like mentally. Once someone gets turned into an animal, they're not still that person.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the ending of Dogtooth. Like, does it really matter what happens? Like, whether you get killed or get turned into a horse, what's the difference?
I think in this, it kind of mattered because I can't remember Colin Farrell's character's name. Let me look real quick. His name is David. That's a stupid name. I was hoping it'd be cooler. His brother, I guess, is dead and was turned into a dog.
Yeah.
And so he has this dog that he walks around with. And then this is going to be... Hang on. I just looked. I'm on IMDb looking at cast and to see that his name is David. The first person is Jacqueline Abrams, and she plays Donkey Shooter.
Donkey Shooter. That's awesome.
That's what she's
That's
billed
awesome.
as. That is awesome. Sorry. I don't even know where I was. Oh, this is going to be a spoiler, but David ends up... He just wants to live and finds this girl that's like a bitch at the hotel. And tries to like link up with her by being an asshole.
It was Leah Seydoux, right?
What?
Leah Seydoux, the actress that played her.
I have no clue who that is. Oh yeah, she was in Dogtooth.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. I didn't know the name. There you go. I'm so sorry about that.
She's also in that really weird video game, Death Stranding.
Really?
Yeah, she's like one of the main characters in it. I've played a little bit of it,
but
it's really weird.
Is it Norman Reedus in that?
Yeah,
one?
he is in that. He's the main character.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just making sure I was on the right game.
Yep.
Yeah, but they link up, and then for her to test him, like she does a lot of tests to make sure he's like a bad human like her, which is interesting. She like fake chokes on something, and he doesn't save her. And then the one I'm thinking of is that she kills his dog, who he thinks is his brother. And he like plays it off cool or whatever, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then starts crying, and she catches him and then is gonna turn him in. But I do think at that point you're right, it doesn't matter whether his brother is actually in that dog's body or whatever. Like, he thinks it is, he believes it.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of starts, I guess, not the climax of the movie, but I don't know. It moves the plot forward to the whole second half in the woods and stuff like that.
And you've also got the scene where he's trying to show how, like, uncaring he is when the one woman jumps to try to kill herself at the hotel.
Yes.
And he's just like, he jokes about it, basically. It's just, it's a brutal scene. It's terrible.
It is. Yeah, he's just like, how am I supposed to get anything done with this lady screaming her ass off? And she's just laying there dying because of him also.
Yeah.
Because she was just like, he knew she was depressed, and she was just like, hey, do you want to have sex sometime? Like, pretty much just that. And then she like tries to call him, and he just lets it go to the answering machine and just listens, and I don't know. It's wild. She's stupid for jumping. They said she jumped from room is like 108 or something. Not high enough at all.
Not high enough. Just high enough to break your legs.
Yeah, which is what happened. Very sad. Yeah, do you have any other opinions on The Lobster?
Let me think. Like we said earlier, John C. Reilly, he's awesome in it. And I love how he's credited. There's him and another guy, and they are credited as the man with the lisp and the man with the limp. That's their characters' names. They don't have names. That's just what they're called.
That's funny.
And I think things like that are clever. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I did like the man with the limp. He saw that there was another girl with a limp at the hotel, and he's like, oh, like, that's it. I found my girl.
Yeah.
Because she also had a limp. And then I think David, or maybe it was John C. Reilly, they were like, no, that's just a sprained ankle. That'll heal, so it would never work out. And he's just like, dang it.
Yeah.
And then this girl has nosebleeds, and so he hits him, like, he slams his head on the desk or something to give himself a nosebleed, and then he walks up to her and acts like he gets nosebleeds. And then they just fall in love or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool how shallow everyone is, and they're just like, oh, you have nosebleeds too?
Oh,
sweet,
cool.
Let's get married.
We're compatible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really about what people will do just to impress others or to try to be seen as the same as other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you've got David just being, like, sadistic and uncaring about everybody around him to try to impress that one woman who is legitimately that way. So you gotta think, like, why would he even want to be with her in the first place? It's just about fitting in.
Yeah, like, he would spend the rest of his life with her.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible. Like, I think I'd rather be an animal.
Yeah. And, it's just like the guy with the limp. Like, it's about, there's something very obvious, like, we can be together since this is the same thing between the both of us. Even if it's not something that has anything to do with who you are.
Yeah. Also, a very brutal scene in this movie is when John C. Reilly was caught masturbating.
Oh, yeah.
And they put his hand in a toaster for a very
long time. It's awful.
In front of everyone. Yeah, that was pretty rough to watch. I definitely was like, oh man, I can, like, it just kept going on. I was like, I can start to feel that on my hand. I don't like it.
And also, the scenes where there's, like, presentations in that, like, big meeting room, it's all so awkward. And, like, they're talking about, like, people who aren't able to get along will be assigned children and things like that, which is kind of funny. Because of how often people use kids to try to fix their relationships and that kind of thing. And that was Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I love.
Yeah, she's great.
Have you seen... oh my god, I can't think of it. Fleabag on Prime Video?
Oh, I've not. I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, and she is in it. So, if you like her, check it out.
Cool.
And
I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's just 2 seasons, real short. Like, you could watch it in a weekend, and it'd be the best weekend of your life.
Sweet.
But going back to those presentations real quick, because I thought of one. They were like, this is what happens when a woman is alone, and then it's just like a woman walking, and then this guy sees her and goes and just starts humping her.
Yeah.
In front, like, on stage in front of this whole crowd.
All done in the most awkward way possible.
Yeah, and then they're like, and then here is a man and a woman together, and it's just like they're holding hands or something. Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Yeah, those type of scenes reminded me of the dancing scene from Dogtooth. It's like people just with the spotlight on them being as weird as humanly possible for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, are you ready to move on to The Killing of a Sacred Deer?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. This one, like I said, was my first Yorgos Lanthimos movie, and I watched it for family movie night. No one liked this movie. I did kind of like it at the time, because I was like, I've never seen anything like this. It was weird. There's a specific scene at the end of the movie that's kind of a Sophie's Choice that I was just cracking up at. I was like, this is incredible. But my parents didn't like it. I don't know who else was there. I know that no one else liked it when we watched it. How was your viewing of The Killing of a Sacred Deer?
It was nice. Well, I don't know if nice is the right word, but I knew what I was getting into. Mm-hmm. And also, I watched it with a friend who I had already watched Dogtooth with. Okay. So he kind of knew what to expect too. And he liked Dogtooth also, which was pretty cool. But it was a good experience. I don't think I would have wanted to watch it with people who hadn't already been exposed to anything by Lanthimos.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh man, this is so strange and creepy and unsettling. It's like Barry Keogh, I think that's his name, who plays
is that
the kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just so weird.
He
is unsettling for sure. And he plays this like mischievous god type character who can just do whatever he wants, and it's crazy. It's I don't know if you're aware of this. It's actually a retelling of a Greek mythology story.
I did not know
about
that.
It's the tale of Agamemnon, I think. And
I've heard of that.
While on a hunt, he kills a sacred deer. And is made to pay for that for the rest of his life, basically. So even though the killing of a sacred deer, even though the killing of a sacred deer doesn't seem super relevant as the title of the movie, it's a allusion to what it's based off of. Whereas
I like that.
Colin Farrell's character killing Barry Keogh's character's father during a surgery
Mm-hmm.
is the killing of a sacred deer that he has to atone for. So it's a retelling of mythology in modern day.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. One thing in this movie that I did find kind of realistic, at least watching it with my family, and like, I think my sister was there too, was when, I don't know, since we're doing spoilers, I am going to spoil it. The dad, who's Colin Farrell again, he has to kill either... I should read the description. Where am I going? I'm so sorry. Stephen, a charismatic surgeon, is forced to make an unthinkable sacrifice after his life starts to fall apart when the behavior of a teenage boy he has taken under his wing turns sinister. So, like you said, Stephen, the surgeon, who's Colin Farrell, he accidentally kills... what's that boy's name? Martin.
Yeah,
kills
Martin.
Martin's dad in surgery. And so Martin, to get revenge, he does something. It never really explains it. But the rest of Steve, the surgeon's family, they start to get paralyzed. Like they can't move. They bleed out of their, or they won't eat. They bleed out of their eyes and then they die. Unless Steve, Colin Farrell, kills one of them. He gets to choose whatever happens, then the other two will live. If not, then all of them will die. And same, if he kills Martin, then all of them die. And I thought it was really funny, especially watching it with my family, the family dynamic that they all take, because they're like, we should make him like us. And so like at the beginning of the movie, he tells his son, Bob, he's like, hey, Bob, cut your hair. Like, it's getting long. And then later on in the movie, when Bob's paralyzed, he cuts his hair himself. And then he crawls to his dad and is like, you were right. I didn't like this hair.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, you know what? I want to be a surgeon when I grow up. Like, that sounds incredible. I want to be just like you. You're my favorite. And then it was like the daughter says something. She's just like, hey, when you die, can I have your iPod? Or is something like that. And so I thought that was funny from a family perspective, watching it with my family, because it's never been anything that sinister, but me and my sister would always do stuff to get on each other's nerves like that.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, the family dynamic of them trying to kind of win his favor is really interesting and weird.
Yeah, and even when he has like said, okay, I know what I'm doing, everybody come downstairs to the living room, Nicole Kidman, who I love,
she's awesome in it. She's good. Yeah. She's just a great actress.
Yeah. I finally watched Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, I still need to watch that. Kubrick, yeah.
I liked it. But anyways, even when he tells her, like, hey, come downstairs, she's like, what about the kids? He's like, they're already down there. And then she's like, I'm going to wear that dress I have that's your favorite.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, maybe this will save my life.
Yeah.
And then how he decides to proceed, I'm not going to spoil it, actually. Because I think that's what made the movie for me. Yeah, I think it was a pretty cruelly funny way to decide what happens.
I think so too. I won't say anything more on it because it's really something you just need to see.
Yeah.
Because even if you know like the things we've already said, it'll still be surprising.
Yeah. So, do you have any other opinions? I know I just hogged up the whole time going on a
You're
tangent,
good.
getting my thoughts together.
It doesn't really have to do much with like the story itself, but while I was watching it, I was like, what city is this? Because, like, you see the skyline a bunch, and, like, you see them standing outside. There's one specific shot where him and Stephen and Martin are talking, and you can see, like, the city in the background. I was like, I know this city. It's Cincinnati, Ohio.
Really?
It was all shot in Cincinnati. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's closer to where I live than where most movies are. Like, I've been there enough to recognize it, so I thought that was pretty cool.
I did not recognize it at all. I was scrolling through the IMDb for this page to see where it was shot in. to answer your question, but you already had it. And I see this plot keyword section. Can I read these for you? Because it's kind of interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Inviting sexual advances.
Okay, I see what you're talking about now. Yes. Go ahead.
Masturbating someone else. Wife cheats on husband. Yep. Wanted sexual advances. Bare breasts. And then all 450. Yeah, I just thought I saw the first two, inviting sexual advances and masturbating someone else, and I was like, cool, that's great.
Yeah, there's also revenge, obsession, blackmail. There's lots. Leg paralysis.
When you said blackmail, I thought you meant a black male.
Oh, no.
Not one word. Okay. That's funny. Reference to pubic hair? Yeah, this is...
That's just the kind of
weird.
movie it is. It's the kind of movie all his movies are, I guess.
It is. Okay, I got nothing else on this. Do you have anything?
I don't really have much else to say about it.
Okay, then we will move on to 2018's The Favorite. And let me tell you, I've been wanting to watch this movie for quite a while because I like Emma Stone and Olivia Colman. This is what got me through watching all of his other movies. Because I was like, I've been looking forward to that one. I've heard great things. If I can just struggle through all of these, I'll get to The Favorite. And I will say, The Favorite, I think it's a lot different than his other movies. I don't think it's as upsetting. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely not as visceral as his other stuff. There's still a lot of weird things to it, a lot of manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, there are, like, big actors in the rest of his movies. Like, you got Colin Farrell, you got Nicole Kidman. But seeing Emma Stone, someone who's, like, currently a big movie star, lead one of his movies, it makes it feel a lot more familiar.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think she's great in it.
Yes. Now that I think about it, the whole movie is kind of like the weird brother-sister dynamic that was in The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah.
But between Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz? Is that how you say it?
Weisz or Weiss? I've never been sure which one it is. I think it's Weiss.
Okay. Yeah, she's going to be... She was in The Lobster, and she's going to be in the upcoming Black Widow movie.
That's right, she is. That comes out soon. It's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
So, I'm going to read the description real quick. In early 18th century England, the status quo at the court is upset when a new servant arrives and endears herself to a frail Queen Anne. I knew nothing about like the plot. I just knew it was called The Favorite, and it had... I knew literally the cover. It's Olivia Colman, and then it was Rachel Weisz sitting on her lap, and then Emma Stone looking disappointed, like sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I thought Olivia Colman was the mom, and that the other two would be daughters, and Rachel Weisz was the favorite daughter, and Emma Stone wasn't. That's just what my brain was going... That's what I thought was happening going into the movie.
I feel like I thought something similar before I ever like saw trailers or knew what it was really about. I figured it was going to be like a family dynamic type thing, but that's not really what happens.
Yeah, I feel like, especially after watching The Killing of a Sacred Deer and then going into this, I was surprised that there wasn't a family dynamic. And even, will be a spoiler too, it's not that big, but Rachel Weisz and Olivia Colman start making out and doing the dirty. And while I was watching, I was like, that's mother and daughter. And so I was just like, this is so weird right now. And then it finally clicked. I was like, oh, no, they're not. Like, yeah. I was like, they just are coworkers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of...
I guess not coworkers because one's a queen and one's like an advisor, but...
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird like social elevation type thing. Because like Emma Stone is a nobody completely. And she comes in and tries to kind of upset the order and become the favorite of the queen. Yeah. And seeing how she messes with people and all the things she does to kind of try to make her dream come true is not even really dream come true. It's more just like survival of the fittest. Because if the queen likes you, you're going to have a good life. If not, your life's going to be terrible.
Which it kind of leads to, I wrote down one quote, and that has to do with what you were saying, is Emma Stone saw that Rachel Weisz and Olivia Colman were hooking up, and so Emma Stone's like, I gotta put my moves on the queen because she's into ladies. Like, she's like, oh, the queen must be into ladies. That's how I, like, move up in the world. And so, you know, she does her stuff. And at one point, Rachel Weisz's character finds out, and she says, you will dismiss her to the queen, because she like pretty much bosses the queen around.
Yeah.
She says,
she definitely
you will dismiss
has the queen's
her.
ear.
Yeah, and then the queen says, I will not. I like when she puts her tongue inside of me. And then she walks off with Emma Stone. And, like, it was... I cracked up at that line.
It's very matter of fact.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you were saying. Like, they just... Both of them were trying to curry favor with the queen, and... if you do, you live, or if not, then there's consequences, I guess.
Yeah, and also people, like, they behave more normally, like, they talk more normally, they have, like, more emotional reactions to things, like, a lot more.
Which is interesting.
Like, it's borderline normal, rather than
which
being
is interesting for a period
detached.
piece. Since it's 18th century England, like, you wouldn't expect... I love period pieces, so I was expecting, like, Old English and me to have subtitles on to understand what's happening. But no, like, it's very normal. Kind of, I wouldn't say it feels like them playing dress up, because, like, the sets are so real, but seeing Emma Stone in that, I definitely feel more normal.
Yeah, she grounds it, for sure.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to say about this movie that impressed me is, I mentioned it earlier, but just the camera work in this movie, the cinematography, I've never noticed, like, the choice of lenses more in a movie than this. Like, I can watch a movie and be like, okay, I just watched a Studio Binder video on lenses. Let me watch this movie and, like, take note of it mentally.
Yeah, point it out.
This, like, I noticed they would use, like, a fisheye lens, which I've hardly seen in movies that I can remember. And this, it, like, stuck out to me. I was like, oh, that is a fisheye lens. I can see, like, the entire room, and it does, like, a fishbowl effect when they get closer, but they're standing further away, so it looks normal.
Yeah, and I think there's even a little bit where you get a little bit of negative space around the fisheye, where it's, like, black on the screen, and you never see that in movies.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, this is, like, technically impressive. Not in the weird... I don't know how to say this. I'm trying to think of a word, but I can't. Not in the sarcastic technically, like, well, technically, but, like, technologically, I guess is how I'd say it.
Yeah.
It's an impressive movie. It looks beautiful, and everything works. I wish I knew more about how that stuff, I guess, is supposed to make me feel, because they use that for a reason. He uses a fisheye lens for a reason. It's supposed to make me feel something or look at something differently. I wish I was able to speak on that more, and that's what Studio Binder's great for. Like, they have all those videos that tell you why they do this stuff. I just don't remember it. But yeah, I think the camera work in this is incredible. Yeah. And the cast is awesome.
And the costume work and the set design is amazing, too. The production design for the entire movie, it feels like you're watching things happen in that time period. Which is what it should, but they do a very good job of making it seem real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's awesome. The favorite is my favorite.
Nice.
Actually, I don't know. I was going to ask you that.
It's not my favorite of them. After I watched it the first time, it was so different from his other stuff that I was a little disappointed.
Okay.
But upon second watch, I was like, man, this is really good. Like, I get why it was so critically loved and why it got so many nominations. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was nominated for more than anything else was that year. It had, like, 10 nominations or something.
Yeah. I was more relieved that it wasn't like anything else he had done.
Yeah.
And I assumed it wasn't going to be going in, because I was like, this was nominated for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I doubt that anything else, like, if it's anything like his other stuff, I doubt it's that, like, critically acclaimed or popular. So I kind of assumed it would be different, and it was, but it still has a lot of the same tone. It's just a lot more normal.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot weirder had he written it. But since it was written by someone else, it's definitely more normal feeling. And one thing I really like that's kind of like an afterthought, but the like typeface they use for everything, those big letters like they did in the credits. I love that.
And the spacing between the letters.
Yeah. It's like you don't really know where to look.
Mm-hmm. It was hard for me to read some of them. Like, even when it said directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, I think I read it wrong. I was like, what is this trying to say? And then I just saw his name and was like, oh, it says directed by, and then it clicked.
I thought it was cool. That kind of adds to that weird, like, fancy, like the overly fanciness of royal stuff back from that time. Like, it's overly exuberant.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love me a good timepiece. Or period piece. Timepiece is a watch, right?
Yep.
Wow. I love me a good timepiece, too.
Timepiece would be, I think it'd be a better name than period piece.
I do, too. It sounds cooler.
It does.
Yeah, sorry. So, this one also has another weird hand job in it. When she gets married. I don't know why I just thought of that. But in Killing of a Sacred Deer, there's a weird hand job. In this one, there's a weird hand job. Looking forward to the next weird hand job that
there'll probably be one
he produces. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else for this film specifically. I don't really... The plot is just kind of two people trying to be the favorite of the queen.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure originally how it was... what it meant by the favorite, because I was like, oh, maybe I thought that Emma Stone was trying, like, the favorite was either going to be the queen or Rachel Weisz's character. I was like, which one of them's the favorite? And then it turned into, oh, it's Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, but then also Rachel Weisz has the power, and maybe Emma Stone is the favorite of her, like it's her favorite maid, because that was kind of the thing going on.
Yeah.
So there were plenty of times throughout this movie where I was like, what does it mean by the favorite? And then it like switches gears, and you do know, and then it kind of goes from there.
And it's definitely the most straightforward of his movies. It leaves you with a lot less to wonder about at the end. Yeah.
And it's still kind of an ambiguous ending, but not as much.
Not nearly as much.
Yeah.
I think it's lower stakes than most of his other movies, too, because with others, it's like, oh, who's gonna get turned into an animal? Who's gonna die? Or who's...
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I got nothing else on Yorgos Lanthimos or any of these movies. You got anything you want to say?
I'd just say that he's a really interesting director with a very weird body of work. Mm. If you're into that type of stuff, check him out. If not, there's nothing wrong with that. He's very out there.
That's true.
And it's Greek. It's Greek.
Yeah. So, if I ask you to rank these, could you?
Yes.
Okay, will you?
I will. Give me just a second here.
Yeah.
Let me rank them.
Do you want me to do mine real quick?
Go ahead and do yours. I think I've got my order, but go ahead and do yours.
Okay. I'm going to go The Favorite, The Lobster, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and then Dogtooth. It's not that I didn't like Dogtooth, it's just that I never want to watch it again.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. I'm going to go with number 1, Dogtooth.
Okay.
Number 2, The Lobster. Number 3, Killing of a Sacred Deer. Number 4, The Favorite. And then number 5, Alps.
Okay. I like that we have different opinions.
Yes, me too.
It's nice for a change.
Because we usually agree on pretty much everything, so it is nice to have something that we aren't really on the same page with.
Yeah, I think this, and then I disliked Falcon and Winter Soldier more than you.
Yeah. It's definitely my least favorite of the 3 Marvel shows so far. Like, I didn't hate it, but it's my least favorite for sure.
I'll say I didn't hate it, but I disliked it.
Yeah.
And I feel like yours is more of like a
it was
average
fine.
or whatever.
Like,
yeah.
I've even told friends, I'm like, if you're gonna watch these shows, you're probably gonna like WandaVision. Mm-hmm. You're probably gonna feel like you have to get through Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, it's not as entertaining.
That's true. That's been pretty much everyone I've talked to about it has felt the same way too. So, yeah, they dropped the ball there.
Yeah.
But, oh well. Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in to us talking about Yorgos Lanthimos. Cain, this was a great pick. I'm sorry it took me so long to get through all of it.
That's okay. I was doing some traveling and stuff too, so it's no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me. I went out to Baltimore and visited Troy of the Not a Bomb podcast. And I had a great time. Troy's awesome. Love you, dude, if you're listening. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, as always, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it lots.
Yeah. And for next week, we did talk about this. We are going much more lighthearted.
Much more fun.
I'm excited for this. I think we'll get through these pretty quickly and have another episode out just because once I have them in my collection, I'll just want to watch them. So, yeah, we are going to do... It's technically, I think, the Ethan Cornetto trilogy. Is it Ethan?
I'm not sure. I've always just noted it as the Cornetto. It is the Cornetto trilogy. I don't know if there's any more to that.
Why was I thinking the word Ethan? Cornetto trilogy. Why is it called that? Do you know?
It's because of the Cornetto ice cream, I think.
Okay. It's called the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, 3 flavors.
Not sure where I got the word Ethan. But, yeah. Directed by Edgar Wright. And these movies are Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End.
Yes, the name originates from a silly joke during the promotion of Hot Fuzz. Edgar Wright had written in the use of Cornetto ice cream as a hangover cure for Frost's character in Shaun of the Dead based on his own experiences. So it's named after this ice cream that he likes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm excited to watch these. Have you seen all of them yet?
I have not seen The World's End yet, but I have seen the other two.
Okay.
I love the first two.
I've seen The World's End once, probably like right after it came out.
It came out like 2013, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I was in high school when I watched it. So I'm excited to check that one out again. And it's always a pleasure to watch Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz.
Of course. Those movies are awesome, and they're so funny. And I love Simon Pegg. He's awesome.
Same. This will be much more lighthearted. I'm looking forward to watching them, and I'm even more looking forward to discussing them with you, Cain.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to watching and talking about something that's fun to watch and fun to talk about. And maybe be a little more upbeat, a little more jokey, because that's how those movies are. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, so far we've done Hereditary, Midsummer, David Lynch,
Lovecraft,
and then Yorgos Lanthimos. It's time we get something a little more lighthearted.
We are more than due for some comedy and some fun.
Yeah. Also, I'd love to talk about all of Edgar Wright's stuff, and I'm sure we will, but I'm kind of relieved we don't have to get into all of his movies, because that'd be a lot to take on, and I don't think I could do him justice.
Yeah, same. I feel like he's a director that's kind of better to kind of break things up. Because, I mean, you got a trilogy you can talk about, so that's great. And then you've got Baby Driver, you got Scott Pilgrim, you got... Last Night in Soho. Have you seen the trailer?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know there was a trailer.
It looks so good. It looks so good. It's coming in October, I think, if I've got the month right. It looks awesome.
I'm excited. Awesome. Well, that about wraps it up. I'm going to do the thing at the end of podcasts that they do. This is Friends with Cinefits. Check us out on Twitter at CinefitsPod. Every once in a while, if I buy a new movie, I've only done it once, but I have a few sitting around. If I buy a new movie and get a digital code, might throw it on there. Whoever gets it first gets a free movie.
I've got some digital codes I'm sure I could put towards that as well. I don't mind.
Go.
I don't ever use them.
Yep. And then we are now on YouTube. We started that last week. Just last week's episode is up there. Should just be you should just search Friends with Cinefits on YouTube and find it, I would expect.
Yeah, if you search Friends with Cinefits, it'll usually come up with the results for Friends with Benefits.
Okay.
And you'll just need to click the show results for Friends with Cinefits instead, and there will be.
There you go. Like I just did right now. Nope, I clicked on Friends with Benefits again. Yep, there we are.
There we are.
And if that's way too hard for you or something like that, link will be in the show notes. Link will be on Twitter. You can find it somehow. And then email us if you have any questions or just want to say hello. I like to talk about movies.
I do too.
friendswithcinefits@gmail.com. Cain, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I'm just going to say thanks to everybody for listening, and you can also find my reviews at shotreverseshotfilm.com. I've got reviews coming soon for Cruella and Quiet Place Part 2, and then in a couple weeks when Black Widow comes out, I'll be getting one out for that as well, so check those out.
Nice. You better have incredible things to say about Florence Pugh, the love of my life.
There are no bad things to say about Florence Pugh.
Yes. You passed. You passed. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Cain, it's been a pleasure.
It always is. Thank you, Alex.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks, everybody.